Please welcome Dr. Peter Bishop.
Let me adjourn the head table so they don't have to look happy or even awake. It is great to be back in North Central Kansas. How many people were here in 1997? Let's see. Whoa! Oh my gosh. I'm going to have to change my talk. You didn't remember, you don't remember that much. A lot has changed since 1997. The network, your network was just getting started. In fact, I remember having conversations with a few of the folks who were a little bit skeptical. They were saying, is this internet thing really a thing, or is this going to go away? And obviously, so far at least, it's really a thing. And we're very happy with it too. And I think you've done a great job. It's really wonderful to be here to hear such confidence and success. I mean, the benefits of cooperation cannot be overestimated. I wish there were some people in a city that begins with W that knew a little bit more about that. How important that would be to work together. But you know that you created a great thing. Low unemployment rate, new businesses. Everybody I've talked to has got a new little business in the town. And some very, very good things going on here. So I'm certainly not going to tell you how to build a regional planning economy or anything like that. You're doing great on that. So let me talk a little bit more about where we happen to be here in the country and obviously in the world. And before I get started, I'm trying to do a new PowerPoint process, which you'll have to bear with me a little bit, and that's to show, believe it or not, I'm a college professor, remember, show fewer slides. When's the last time you ever saw a college professor that's going to try and show fewer slides? So what I'm going to do is blank these out and talk a little bit about, talk a little bit about the concept that we use in future studies. Of course, we're long-term futurists. Everybody's going to ask me what's going to happen in 2 weeks. I don't do short-term, so you all can take your pick and do whatever you want. I'm not going to do that. But there are, frankly, let me answer that question. The answer I give, I don't think it makes any difference. I think there's gridlock there, there's gridlock after whoever gets elected. So I don't know if it's going to make a whole lot of difference. But nevertheless, we focus on certain things in the future that other people who do the future, forecasters, you've got market forecasters in your world, ag forecasters, bank forecasters, all that kind of thing. And they do a good job of what they do. We focus on a different part of the future, a long term, 10, 20 years. Somebody says, how long is it? And my answer is long enough for significant things to have happened. So I come back 15 years later, so we're going to talk about what's going to happen in the mid-20s. When I come back 15 years from now, 2027, hopefully. So we have, you were starting your network. The internet was kind of growing up. Remember, we were in the tech boom at that time, now called the tech bubble. Right? We were getting ready for Y2K, which was the big event that never happened. We had a recession, a couple of wars, a couple of elections, and the iPhone 5 has come out. So those are the big things that happened since I was here last. So I want to talk about what some of the issues are and the big things that may happen from now. The concept we use is the concept of an era. An era is a period of time that has some degree of meaning. So the 90s was that era period up until 2000 and the recession and then the 9/11 and all that. And then 9/11 starts a whole new era. And the banking crisis we had starts a whole new era in somewhat different ways. So what is the era that we're in today, and how might it progress, and indeed what might it come to an end? We forget that we're in an era today. This is our era. Future historians, the textbook writers for your great-grandkids are going to read about us as a certain period of time. What were they doing? What were they not doing? What challenges were they facing? What were they contributing to the future? What did they do well? What did they maybe not do so well? We don't know those things today, but it's a nice perspective to take that we're in a historical period of time. John Gardner says we're the people we've been waiting for. In other words, we're the people who are going to, there's nobody going to come in, a president or any kind of a great champion who's going to come in and solve all these problems. And you've obviously here in North Central Kansas really taken that seriously, because the cooperation and the success that you've had is a testament to that. So what is the era today? Well, let's talk first about eras of technology. And here I have a slide that I want to show you that is one of my favorites because it has the story of technology in it. It's based upon an Austrian economist, Joseph Schumpeter, 1930s, and he was one of the people who developed what's now called long wave theory. These are technological waves that go on for 50 or 60 years, and each wave creates a degree of productivity that grows the economy. This is part of this is the genius of capitalism and technological industrial capitalism. Of course, the steam engine, the steam and the railroad were those first early ones. It's hard to imagine how important steam was and the coal that produced the energy was for that period of time. Call it the Industrial Revolution. It was essentially a technological revolution. The railroad, both of our states wouldn't be here without the railroad. And the railroad produced not just transportation, which of course it did, but it also produced all kinds of other things in society. For instance, how, in Texas we had cattle ranches, cowboys, the myth of American history. Where were those cattle going? They weren't eating those cattle in Lubbock and Wichita Falls and Amarillo. They were putting them on the railhead and shipping them to where the populations were. So the railroad did that. The railroad created the clock, time zones. It didn't make any difference what time it was here compared to Denver or compared to Indianapolis, because who cares whether it was 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock there? There was no communication between those. But when trains started to go, the train masters had to know what to do and when things would leave and when they would get there. Telecommunications began with the railroad. The mail order business. Where did the mail order business start? Chicago, Illinois, right? Montgomery Ward, Sears Roebuck. For the first time, you had a transportation where it made sense to put something on a transportation device and it would get to another person within some reasonable amount of time. We weren't going to do that in a horse and buggy or a Conestoga wagon. You weren't going to walk the package to Colorado. You had to put it on the railroad. So you notice how the technology does one thing, but then it ripples out and creates something. The era that I grew up in was the petroleum era. Petroleum is this amazing, high-density, relatively easy-to-use energy source that produced most of the growth, economic growth of the 20th century, and a whole bunch of other things besides. We have the suburbs, the freeway system, commuting. We have the automobile industry. We have the airline industry. We have the petrochemical industry. We have police car chases and parking lots. We have, necking in the back of Dad's Oldsmobile. All of those things going on in the 50s and 60s when power steering was as hot as the iPad. So we're going through this time again. This is the digital time. This is the time when our kids and our grandkids will look back and say, Grandpa, what was the big deal? I mean, you didn't have a cell phone when you were born. Well, they are now. They do. And imagine a kid. I don't know if you have kids at home or if they have. I mean, this device, that device, iPhone device, in any smartphone is attached to them. There's a college professor that has a humanities course. I think it's a psychology course actually, and he gives extra credit if students will give him their cell phones for a week. And very few do. And then they write a paper, and they get credit in the course for that. And the way they describe it, there's this gigantic separation anxiety. Well, what if somebody gets sick? Well, there's other phones around, Well, what am I going to do when I'm here and there? And what if my friend, how am I going to get on Facebook? And how am I going to talk to my friends? And all this kind of stuff. It's a mania. But it is their world, not our world. So, though this has a business purpose, it also creates lots of